morning we're going to show how to install the stainless steel clean grain auger trough kit by Abilene machine. The kit is stainless steel liners to replace worn clean grain auger trough, delivery troughs in the combine. This kit is good in the 1400, 1600, all the way up to the 2500 series combines. The kit will come complete, and today we're going to show you the tools and what's required to install this kit on the combine. We have a 1660 combine that we're going to use to install the kit. Note, I have prepped the combine ahead of time. Some of the bolts have been removed, but we will point out what we need to do as we go and get you to be able to install this kit very simply. It will require 2 people in certain parts of this installation. My grandson will be helping us with that, but it's real easy to do. And if you get any questions, you can contact Abilene, but we will be installing this kit today, and thank you for watching. We'll start out with the kit will consist of 6 stainless steel parts. Each of the kits do have a letter etched in them, which will tell what they're for. This is F for front. We've got a left front and a right front. We've got a rear, left rear, right rear. The kit also will come with a kit of pop rivets, carriage bolts for replacement, and if you do not want to use pop rivets, I prefer pop rivets, but we do include self-tapping screws. If you want to use screws, they come with the kit. The kit also will come with an install guide. So that is what we're going to install today. Okay, tools required to install this kit will be a 3/8 ratchet, 1/2 inch socket, 9/16 socket, a 3/4 inch socket. You might want to have a 1/2 inch wrench. Some of the bolts are a little tough to get at with a socket, so you might want a 1/2 inch wrench also. Drill bits will require a 3/16 drill bit, a 5/32 drill bit, and a drill. You can either use a cordless that I use or electrical, whatever you have available. You will need a hammer and a punch, a set of Allens, a needle nose plier or a small vice grip to remove a chain link, a pop rivet gun with a 3/16 tip, a flat screwdriver, and a marking pen. Optional equipment that I like to use is I use a cordless 3/8 ratchet, a pneumatic air pop rivet gun. You might want to have some penetrating oil and some emery tape with you also. As always, when we do installs and you have drilling or anything like this, we do recommend that you have safety glasses and a pair of gloves. Okay, prepping the combine, first thing we're going to do is reach underneath, unlatch the door, raise the door up, catch your lock. I'm going to go up the ladder, and always remember safety first. Be careful that you don't fall, slip. I've attached a piece of wire here to the handrail just to get me more clearance. There's a hole right here. I just run the piece of wire through. This secures the shield that everything's out of our way while we remove the augers and prepare the combine. Okay, once we have the left-hand side of the combine ready, we go to the right-hand side, and we're going to remove the right hand. Removing the shield, it is pretty good size. Set the shield down to the side. That gives us access to our bearings. Okay, to remove the bearings, I've got a step ladder for safety. Go up. And these bearings I have removed strictly so that we don't have to take as much time on the video. But just as you know, take the Allen, unlock the locking collar. Unlock the collar. Remove the collar. Take your emery tape. Emery tape your shafts. Make sure the bearing will come out easier. You take your penetrating oil at this time and lubricate them up. Next step will be remove the bearing housings. Here you should have an assistant possibly inside to help hold the bolts in. Remove the bearing housings and the bearing. Do both sides. The right-hand side of the machine is ready to remove the augers. Remember to maintain the parts, your bolts. They will be reused later. I would recommend that you replace the bearings just for, now is a good time to put new bearings in just so that you don't have a problem in the harvest. Okay, the first thing to do on the left-hand side when you're taking out the augers, due to the augers are different, I just like to mark them. So that when I go back together, I don't have to figure out which one goes into which. First thing to do is take a 3/4 inch socket. Loosen your chain. Slide the chain down. Find your connector link. Take your pliers or your vice grip. Remove the chain. Remember that the parts will need to be maintained to install later. Okay, after you have the chain removed, we're going to remove the augers. There are 5 bolts on each auger. Take a 1/2 inch. Remove the chain guide. Take both augers loose. Okay, your augers are now loose. Remove your bolts just so that you keep them. Now is when I put on gloves. remove the augers, pull out gently, and turn. When you come out about 18 inches, you have to change directions. Be careful of the augers, they may be sharp. Once auger is removed, you can inspect it for wear and decide whether you're going to replace it or to use it. Remember that Abilene machine has the augers in stock and can fix you up on your needs for replacement parts. Once the rear auger's out, same thing with the front one. Again, pull out about 18 to 24 inches. Again, inspect your augers. This would be a great time to replace them if they're required. Now your outside of your machine is prepared. Now we'll go up in the grain tank and prepare the inside of the grain tank. Okay, now we're going to go inside the grain tank. One very cautious thing to note when getting in the grain tank, be very careful. The surfaces of the grain tank floor can be very slippery, so make sure that you take your time and be very careful in getting in the combine grain tank. First thing we're going to do is I've learned that there's a support angle here that if we take the top bolt out, we can turn this tube down, will allow a lot easier access to removing our two covers. So once that's down, take our ratchet or our wrench. There'll be two bolts on each end of the cover. One here, one here. You can remove them, reach underneath. Take the eight bolts off. Once the 8 bolts are off, we can remove the covers. There again, be careful. It is slippery. Take the covers. I set them up. What I do is I take the covers and put them up on top of the cab, so they're out of the way. Remove both covers. Okay, once the shields are removed, and this is note for the 14 series only, there will be a couple braces, V's in the center, that will need to be removed, and that is only in the 1440 and 1460 series combine. 16 series and later will not have them. Their covers are heavy enough that they don't have the reinforcing. So they need to also be removed if you have a 1440 or 1460 or 1480. Once both covers are removed, we can clean the trough. Go give me that. Collect all your bolts that you've removed from the bearings. You will be using them later. And inspect your floor. As you can see, this floor has been rusted and will leak a lot of grain. So now we're going to prep the floor. What I do is I just take a little broom, sweep all the foreign material out, get it into the sump where it's out of the way. If you want to, now would be a good time to take some primer paint into anything to keep this from rusting worse. You can treat this, paint it, whatever you want to do to that. The next step we need to do is remove the 2 bolts on each end of the auger trough. Every 1, 2. And what I do is have my assistant go down and take these nuts loose. They're available. You reach them from behind the sump. There's another 2 here. And there's also 2 of them on the right-hand rear that need to be removed also. Once all these bolts are removed, we're able to put these parts in place. There's also, we'll show in a little bit from the outside, there is also 2 bolts located behind the sump. You can reach through the auger holes to get at these 2. Remove both of those also for putting the parts in to attach the parts. The combine is now prepped, ready for installation of our kit. Give it one final look over and make sure all the parts are removed and that we're ready to install the stainless steel. I've got the stainless steel kit up here. What I recommend is you lay it out, your front and your rear. They'll be marked, front and rear. These parts will get placed behind the sump with the bolt holes to the inside of the combine. Place both of them in place. Then locate your rear. This will be the rear right. Rear left. Note again that the bolt holes line up. One thing to note on the splice, that we do not overlap on the splice. Once they're in place, I would probably, once they're in place, let's mount these in. Okay, once we have the stainless steel parts laid in place, get your carriage bolts, take your line-up punch, locate your 2 holes, have your assistant start the nuts. Note, just hand tighten the bolts for now. We will tighten them later. Okay, inspect your shield. Make sure that you're not lapped. Take your drill. Put pressure down onto the stainless to hold it tight. Clear the bolts. Make sure it's all nice and cleared. Drill a hole. I recommend to do one at a time just to keep it lined up. Insert your pop rivet. And you can continue remembering to keep pressure down to keep your seam tight. So I'll move over. One thing to remember to do before you start drilling is check underneath to make sure you have no hoses or wiring in the way. If there is, remove it, get it loose for now, and we'll reinstall it later. But there's something to check. Make sure that you don't drill through a hose or wire. Make sure you push down. Continue. Now we'll do the right hand. Locate your 2 holes. Insert your bolts. Have your assistant start the nuts. Do not over tighten yet. Once that's in place, check to make sure your splice is good. You may have to put the brace in place just while you're getting this in. Make sure that your stainless clears the screws that are in. Hold it down tight. Continue. Install. Continue and install all the pop rivets, or you can use the screws at this time. Once you have this all in, tighten your 4 bolts down, and at this time, if you want to, you could take silicone and silicone the seams to keep it watertight, keep water from getting underneath and rusting. So that'll be your next step, is to attach it, put all your pop rivets in or your screws, and get it completed and silicone it. Then do the same thing on the front. Again, we'll put the left front in place. The right front. In place. Take your punch. Locate your holes. Again, have your assistant start the nuts and only snug them down, do not over tighten. Then we'll repeat the process of drilling pop rivets, making sure that you put pressure down, and to keep your seams at a minimum, put your pop rivets in. Then go to the front left, front right. Make sure that your seam is clear, that it does not overlap. It's very important not to overlap to keep your auger clearance. Here again, take and insert pop rivets or screws, whatever option you desire to use. Once your front is in, again, we'll silicone and seal it to keep water from continuing to rust. Next part we want to do is the two small pieces behind. There again, have your assistant insert the two bolts that are located back here. And then we will snug that up, make sure you push down to keep the pressure, and insert pop rivets in the 4 holes. You can achieve it by getting through the back here between the sump and the grain tank. You'll be able to reach back with the drill, right back here, drill your 4 holes. Insert your pop rivets, both the front and the rear. Now we're ready to tighten down all the bolts. 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts, 10 bolts. Tighten down your carriage bolts to secure your kit. You now have the kit installed. After we have the stainless steel kits in place, we'll reinstall the augers. Note, take your front auger, do it in reverse. Once you get into about the 18 or 24 inches, you need to reverse the rotation. Set augers in. Take the rear auger. Continue to rotate the auger in. Again, once you're within the 18 to 24 inches, reverse rotation. Augers are back in place. Reinstall. Remembering to install chain tightener. Do not tighten the bolts yet. You can take a line-up punch or just reach behind. Locate the hole, insert, reinstall all 5 bolts. Caution, do not tighten them yet because we do need to check clearance. Same thing on the front auger. Install the bolts. Have your assistant put the bolt through. I would just hold it in. We'll have him just start the nut so we don't lose it for right at the bolt. Okay. Next one. Okay, once you have the 2 bolts in, now what we'll do is we'll have him lift it up just a little bit, the auger. We're not installing new bearings for the video, but now's the time to install your bearings. Just hold this up, slip your bearing in place, and then continue to put your flanges on. Hold that bolt in place. You're good, okay. Once you got the bearing in place, put your other flange on. Once you have the bearings installed, we need to check for clearance. So take your augers, rotate the augers to make sure that they spin smooth and that they're not dragging on your new stainless steel kit. There's some adjustment with the holes that you can hold up just to get your clearance. Once you get your clearance, tighten all the bolts. Go back to the right hand side, tighten the flanges, and set your bearings that they're locked. Once that's all complete, again, spin your augers to make sure you have clearance. Once your augers are set, you can replace your chain. Chain goes across the top. Underneath the drive sprocket. Connect your connector. Tighten up your chain to preferred tightness. Now's when you want to check all the hoses or lines that you moved, reinstall those that they're in place. And you can tighten up all the bolts, the chains, and everything, make sure everything is completely tight. Once this is done, the shield can come back down, and we need to go in the grain tank and put the covers back on, and we will get that taken care of. Okay, once you have the stainless steel kits installed, we'll come back into the grain tank. We'll place the augers back in place, auger covers. Reinstall your 4 bolts on each one. Replace your brace. Put your bolt back in your brace. Your kit is completed. Parts are reinstalled. Tighten all bolts. Make sure that everything is tight, secure. And we're ready to replace the right-hand shield. We'll replace the right-hand shield. Use caution. Start one bolt so it doesn't fall. Start one in front. Go around and replace all the bolts, tighten all the bolts down. Once you have this completed, come back to the left-hand side. Remove our wire. The lock, latch down your shield. Kit is completed. I'm behalf of Abilene Machine, I would like to thank you for watching our video. Please remember Abilene for all your parts and aftermarket replacement parts. Thank you.